You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts.
All right, Black and White Sports supporters. Well, here we are. Here we are, the WNBA media, more specifically, and I'm going to keep it real. The white, radical, liberal columnist, journalist, media is now wrapping her loving arms around Carrie Champion, the Jemele Hills.
The daggers were out before the final buzzer even sounded. One bad shooting night was all it took for the WNBA media to launch a full-scale coordinated assault on Caitlin Clark. We aren't just talking about critiques of her jumper. We are talking about a vicious, calculated character assassination that has been simmering for months. They've been waiting for this moment since she entered the league, and now the floodgates have officially burst open. It's a level of vitriol we haven't seen in women's sports history, and the fallout is just beginning. The silence from the league's inner circle has been deafening until now, as the Wolves finally show their teeth in broad daylight.
Accuses her of being cringy and throwing tantrums in this article. Let's look at this hit piece. I mean, this is a bona fide hit piece, folks. There's no other way to describe it. Caitlin Clark's honeymoon was never going to last. Here we go. Any athlete this hyped and this adored always gets its comeuppance. I love how the media members, kind of like shithead the other day trying to do a victory lap over his media credentials. The uppity bullshit from the media. I mean, again, this is why I don't have respect for...
Nancy Armour didn't just write an article. She delivered a manifesto of hate that has the entire basketball world reeling. The headlines are calling Clark exhausting, cringy, and a tantrum thrower who needs to be put in her place. It's a bona fide hit piece designed to strip away the Golden Girl image and replace it with something far more sinister. This isn't just one journalist's opinion. It's the rallying cry for a media circle that has been quietly simmering with resentment while Clark broke every record in the book. They are taking victory laps over a single bad game, proving that their agenda was never about the basketball, but about tearing down a superstar they never wanted to succeed.
The other day trying to do a victory lap over his media credentials. The uppity bullshit from the media. I mean, again, this is why I don't have respect for these people. The uppity, I'm better than you. You're not a doctor. Just point that out. You're not a doctor, all right? We don't call you Dr. Nothing. God, the look at me, the see me, me. It's happened to LeBron, it's happened to Tiger Woods, it's happened to Peyton Manning. But Clark's own actions...
Stephanie White has finally seen enough, and her silence has been broken in the most dramatic way possible as she addresses the toxicity surrounding her team and the league. As the Trojan horse of media negativity continues to infiltrate the ranks, veteran voices are being forced to take a hard stand against the blatant disrespect. They see the writing on the wall. This isn't about stats anymore. It's about a cultural war being fought on the hardwood. When a coach of her caliber starts noticing the shift in the atmosphere, you know the situation has reached a boiling point that can no longer be ignored by the higher-ups in the WNBA office.
Health of a player who missed most of last season with a series of injuries. It's made Clark into the WNBA's own Rorschach test. Either you think she can do no wrong or she's an entitled brat. And the number of people who don't hold an opinion seems to be dwindling in what is only her third season. Look at this sub headline, folks. Trash talk is fine. Tantrums are not. Clark is a transcendent player. Save it, woman.
The media is now wrapping its arms around the usual suspects of negativity, from Jemele Hill to Renee Montgomery, creating a fortress of criticism. They are forming a unified front to dismantle the Indiana Fever superstar's reputation before she even finishes her rookie season. It's a strange and pathetic sight to behold, professional journalists taking a victory lap because a 22-year-old had a tough night at the office. They are acting like they've won a championship just because Clark missed a few logo threes. It reveals a level of professional insecurity that is frankly embarrassing for the sports journalism industry as a whole.
As if she's been shot after pushing off someone else, or she drops to the court without ever being touched. Oh my God. There's at least one instance every game of Clark berating a referee over a call she didn't get, or one she didn't think she deserved to get. She doesn't even need to be playing to get worked up. I will say this. The referees are horrible. The officiating is back to being trash-tastic. Trash bag horrible. But that cannot be an excuse. You either got to go out and overcome it and win.
They are calling her a C-list actor, claiming her reactions to fouls are cringy and histrionic in a way that suggests she doesn't belong on the big stage. Think about that for a second. Every superstar in the history of the game, from LeBron James to Tiger Woods, has shown high-octane emotion on the court. But when Caitlin Clark does it, it's suddenly a moral failing that needs to be addressed by a panel of experts. They are trying to paint her as an entitled brat who doesn't respect the game, completely ignoring the fact that she's the primary reason millions of people are even tuning in to watch the WNBA right now.
The officiating is back to being trash-tastic. Trash bag horrible. But that cannot be an excuse. You either got to go out and overcome it and win. There's people still talking about the officiating from the other day. Yeah, it sucked. You can't use it as a crutch. You just can't. It is what it is. They hate this team. They hate Caitlin Clark. They got to overcome it. Hating on WNBA referees or officials in any sport for that matter might be a national pastime. True. But there's a way to do it without oozing condescension, which is what it is when Clark claps.
The irony is thick enough to choke on when you look at how these same reporters cover other athletes. These same media members will praise competitive fire and toughness in almost any other player in the league. They'll tell you that trash talk and intensity are what make the game great and attract new fans. But the moment Clark claps at a referee or shows frustration with a missed call, the narrative shifts instantly to petulance. It's a blatant double standard that is being used to alienate her from the fans who have followed her from Iowa to the pros, and it is as transparent as it is disgusting to witness.
Victor Wembanyama, who is beloved by pretty much everybody, caught flack for skipping his mandatory media obligations. Look, we did hammer Angel Reese for skipping. I'm just pointing that out. If they're supposed to go, I feel like they should go. It's just, I want to be fair there. But Clark carries a burden those athletes don't. She is the face of the W and, to a degree, women's sports. What she does, how she acts, and has an impact on both the current league and the players in the future. The last thing anybody...
Let's talk about the flopping narrative that is being pushed with such intensity by the radical liberal columnists. The media is claiming she drops to the floor without being touched, comparing her to a trained SEAL performing for the cameras. It's a targeted attempt to label her as a fraud and a weakling. They are ignoring the physical beating she takes every single night she steps onto that court. The WNBA has always been a physical league, but the target on Clark's back is unlike anything we've seen. She's being guarded tighter and hit harder than anyone, yet she's the one being called a whiner for reacting to the contact.
Yes, they are. Let's not get confused. She's straight, she's white, they can't stand her. They loathe her over it. And I'll call that this liberal every day of the week. We can do this too, if you want to do it. Nancy Armour. The W is and always has been a physical league, and Clark is guarded harder and tighter because she is so often has the ball in her hands, and because there is no place on the court where she is not a threat. Good God. Not every player has to be liked by everybody, but Clark won over the entire country with the way
the racial undertones in these attacks are becoming impossible to ignore, no matter how much the mainstream media tries to mask them with basketball jargon. There is a segment of the old guard that simply cannot stand the fact that a straight white woman from the Midwest has become the face of a league they've controlled for decades. They loathe her for reasons that have nothing to do with her crossover or her historic passing ability. It's about identity politics, plain and simple, and they are using their platforms to punish her for her own success and the demographic she represents in a league that is changing fast. This isn't just about basketball anymore. It's a Rorschach test for the fans and the media alike. You either see a generational talent fighting through unprecedented pressure, or you've been brainwashed into seeing an entitled brat who needs to be humbled. The media is working overtime to ensure the latter opinion becomes the dominant one in the public consciousness. They are trying to tell parents that Clark is a bad role model for their children, claiming her whining is turning off the country. This is happening despite the fact that ratings continue to skyrocket, and every game she plays becomes a national event. The media members are acting like they have medical degrees now, questioning the health and indignation of players while simultaneously hiding the truth about injuries. There's a level of condescension in their reporting that is truly trash-tastic and unprofessional. They demand total access and perfect behavior from a rookie, but they offer nothing but vitriol and trap questions in return. It's a parasitic relationship where the media feeds off the drama they create, and Clark is the main course on their menu of destruction. They want to control her narrative, and when they can't, they choose to set it on fire. We saw how they hammered Angel Reese for skipping media obligations, and while consistency is important in journalism, the level of scrutiny on Clark is on a different planet. She carries a burden that no other athlete in the history of the WNBA has ever had to shoulder. She is the face of the league, and every single move she makes is dissected under a microscope by people who are actively rooting for her to fail. It's an exhausting and toxic environment that would break almost any other 22-year-old in the world, yet she keeps showing up and performing while the Wolves circle her every move. The officiating in this league has been objectively horrible this season, yet Clark is told she has to just overcome it without saying a single word. When she points out that a referee is blind or missing calls, it's treated like a federal crime by the columnists. Meanwhile, we've seen MLB players and NBA stars dog cuss umpires for decades without this kind of moralizing from the press. The shut up and play mentality is only being applied to one person in the WNBA right now, and it's the one person who is actually growing the league's bottom line and bringing in new television deals for everyone else. Stephanie White's perspective on the Trojan horse infiltrating the league is a chilling warning for everyone involved. The fans are being manipulated from the inside by a media that has its own agenda. There are clear lines being drawn between the old guard fans and the new wave of supporters Clark brought with her from the college game. The media is trying to create a civil war within the fan base, pitting supporters of Aja Wilson or Angel Reese against Clark fans, using race and petulance as the primary weapons of division. They want to fracture the audience before it can truly unify. They try to justify the aggression from other players like Tiffany Hayes, calling it competitive fire and a necessary part of the game's evolution. But the moment Clark pushes back or shows that same fire, the narrative flips on its head. They claim she acts like she's been shot after a minor push-off, gaslighting the audience. They are telling you not to believe your own eyes when you see her getting hammered in the paint by veterans who want to leave a mark. They want you to believe she's the aggressor, even when she's the one being knocked to the hardwood on every other possession. The media is obsessed with this idea that Clark's honeymoon period is over and they are desperate for her to lose her luster. They mention how LeBron James is called La Floop, or how Shai Gilgeous-Alexander gets grumbled about for his foul hunting tactics. But those are veteran stars with multiple MVPs and years of service. Clark is a rookie being subjected to this level of character assassination before her first season is even halfway done. They are trying to end her reign and destroy her marketability before it truly begins, and they aren't even being subtle about their intentions anymore. The Fever are being forced to navigate a minefield of media traps every single day while trying to protect their young star. They are listing injuries as probable and trying to keep the locker room focused amidst a storm of outside noise. The team is essentially under siege, and the league office seems perfectly happy to let it happen as long as the tickets keep selling. They love the Caitlin Clark effect on their bank accounts, but they refuse to protect the player who is generating all that wealth from the vultures in the press box who want to pick her apart for clicks. It's funny how they mention Victor Wembanyama catching flack for skipping media, but they fail to mention that he isn't being called cringy or exhausting on a daily basis by the National Press Corps. The gendered and racialized language used against Clark is unique to her situation and her success. They are weaponizing her background and her massive popularity against a league culture that they feel she doesn't belong in. It's an us versus her mentality that is poisonous to the growth of the sport, yet it is being fueled by the very people who claim to want the league to succeed. No one disputes that her logo threes are worth the price of admission, or that her passing is a highlight reel waiting to happen for the world to see, but the media is trying to separate the player from the person in a very calculated way. They want you to enjoy the buckets but find a way to hate the girl who makes them. They are trying to create a scenario where new fans feel guilty for supporting her over the established veterans. It's a psychological operation designed to dampen the enthusiasm of the millions of new fans who have finally given the WNBA a chance. Stephanie White knows that once the media turns like this, there is rarely a way back to a fair and balanced narrative. The story is being set in stone by people who have a vested interest in her failure. They are building a case to ensure that even if Clark wins a championship, she will never be truly accepted by the league's establishment. They are protecting their own interests and the old guard who feel threatened by the sheer scale of Clark's global popularity. It's a gatekeeping strategy that is as old as time, but it has never been this aggressive or this personal. The Wolves have truly come out of the woodwork to claim their prize. From the Indy 500 to the Morgan Wallen concerts, Clark is everywhere, and that level of cultural visibility is exactly what the bitter media members hate most. They can't control her, so they have decided they have to destroy her. They are waiting for every missed shot, every turnover, and every technical foul to pounce with a pre-written narrative of failure. It's a vulture's feast, and they are picking at the bones of her reputation before she even has a chance to settle into the professional game. We are witnessing a historic moment in sports media, but for all the wrong reasons. The mask has completely slipped off the face of the WNBA press corps. The people who claim to care the most about the growth and empowerment of women's sports are the ones doing the most damage to its biggest and brightest star. They would rather see the league return to obscurity and low ratings than see it succeed on the back of someone they don't personally like or agree with. It's a burn it all down strategy that reveals their true colors and their lack of professional integrity. At the end of the day, the fans will have the final say on who they want to support. No amount of hit pieces or exhausting labels can change the physical reality of what Caitlin Clark brings to the court every single night. The media can scream into the void and write their hit pieces all they want, but the arenas are still full and the jerseys are still selling out across the country. This is a battle for the soul of the WNBA, and while the Wolves are howling loudly now, they might find that this particular target is a lot tougher and more resilient than they ever imagined.